Stream is up. And it looks like we're live again. All right, so if anybody was actually paying attention to that debacle, my PC blue screened, so it cut us off in the middle of talking. However, we do have the first part of it recorded, so we are going to just go ahead and launch into the second part, and I'll cut these two things together later. But we're fixing the show through the magic of technology. I need to pull up a couple things real quick. Oh no, I lost the order, but that doesn't matter. I will pull up the chat. And we should be good to go. All right, Brandon, whenever you are ready.
I am ready. Give me a hand count when you're hitting record.
All right. Shut up. All right. 3, 2, 1.
So I guess, to be fair, Aziraphale's magic tricks suck.
Yeah, they were pretty bad.
I can't blame some of the kids for getting upset. Now, mind you, I'm not saying to act the way they did.
Oh, I would have been handing out ass whippings.
Oh, for sure. But, Aziraphale is just not good at magic tricks. And as Crowley said, he can do actual magic. He probably should have done actual magic, at least to entertain them more. But either way, the end result was a food fight started, and Aziraphale and Crowley leave the party because they didn't want to be a part of that, and it was a mess. And when they leave is when they find out that there's been a fuck-up. And because they're expecting a hellhound to show up for the kid at his 11th birthday. And there's no dog. So they decide that they need to go see their respective people.
Well, you missed one little important thing. Crowley actually feels when the dog gets named, which is the trigger for the Antichrist coming into his power. But it's not at the party where the child that they believe the Antichrist is. And that's when they realize they screwed up.
Yeah.
All right. But yeah, so they walk up. They're going to their head offices, and it's kind of interesting. There are multiple ways to get to the head office, but when it's something formal like this, they have to come in through the front entrance.
Yeah, the main entrance.
Yeah, the main entrance. Right. So you see them walking into the building, right? But then I thought that was super neat. One of them is taking an escalator up, the other one's taking an escalator down, but.
Well, sort of not really an escalator. The escalator looks like it still goes up, but he goes into the floor.
He goes into the floor, and what you see is his reflection, a reflection of him that's not there. But it was a neat camera trick.
Yeah, it was. I thought it was pretty well done. I liked it a lot.
And so they go, and we see the choir of angels, if you will, where Aziraphale is giving his report. And I think, is this the first time we see John Hamm?
No, they showed Gabriel earlier in the episode when he finds Aziraphale eating sushi, I believe.
Oh, yes.
But that was kind of a brief introduction. This was an introduction to basically the 4 angels that are over Aziraphale. And they really don't like him much. They all agree that he's been on Earth too long. Things like that.
That he's gone native.
Yeah, he's gone native. Although, Gabriel's kind of an asshole.
Yeah, oh yeah. Which makes it a perfect role for John Hamm. He plays that kind of the character real well.
Yeah, he does.
And we'll see this in... this is the meeting in hell, right? And so we have the demons there. And what were the demon names, Brandon?
Well, you have Beelzebub, with the flies on the left there, you've got Dagon, the Lord of Flies, just to the left of Crowley. And then you have Haster and Liger in the middle. I think Haster's is the white guy with the frog thing on its head, and Liger's another Duke of Hell in the middle there. He also has some kind. Maybe it's a crown because they're both dukes. Maybe that's why they have those things on their heads.
Oh, well, the interesting thing about those is they're alive. And they're not it's not like a frog like you and I would see. It's like formed to his head.
Yeah.
And the other one is like an iguana, also formed to his head. And one of the things I had brought up earlier was this is kind of a testament to the attention to detail that they had when making the show, because they were having a conversation, and at one point Crowley asks a question, and the answer is yes. The demon answers yes, but he doesn't move. However, the lizard nods his head.
Yeah.
Right? So I thought that was a pretty cool little, thing that they just kind of threw in there. So that's when we kind of meet all of their bosses, if you will, like who they report to. Here's a better one.
Yeah, I would say these two are pretty much over even the other three, respectively. Gabriel over, what is it? Uriel, Michael, and Sandalphon.
Sandalphon, yeah.
So, yeah, these are definitely a step above them. And it's probably a kind of like a foreshadowing of things to come. So I feel like these two will be more heavily involved as the show goes on. Hopefully, if we get seasons 2 and 3, etc. I'm hoping to see a lot more, especially out of John Hamm's character. Beelzebub was there, but he didn't have as big of a role as John Hamm did.
The character did nothing for me, really. John Hamm's character, even though he wasn't. I mean, they probably had about the same amount of screen time, but John Hamm is just such a greater presence. It's like every time he was on screen, you took note of him being on screen. Beelzebub was just kind of there. And that's just like from a character performance, in my opinion. But yeah, I'm sure we're going to get a lot more from them because, they are the rulers of heaven and hell, right? or the administrators, if you will. So that's when they realize they have this epiphany that something's gone wrong, and they make their reports, and so Aziraphale and Crowley have.
They both pretend like there's nothing wrong, though.
Right. They act like nothing's happened because, again, they don't want to be recalled. They, like you said, they're in love with humanity. They want to stay down here, or up here, depending on who you're talking about. There was something you wanted to point out, Brendan?
Yeah, so one thing I noticed is every time, well, I'll name one exception, but I'll go into that in a second. Every time that we see Aziraphale and Crowley together, at least when they're sitting, Crowley is always on the right, and Aziraphale always on the left. The only exception was when they got into Crowley's car, and that's because it's Crowley's car and he's driving, and England steering wheel on the other side kind of thing.
Right. So this is when they're discussing what they're going to do. Like now that they realize they fucked up, what they're going to do about it.
Yeah.
And so there's they basically realize that they're going to have to find this kid, because this is Warlock, by the way. And this is the one that they thought was the Antichrist, right? When in fact, we have 11-year-old Adam. And it's on 11-year-old Adam's birthday when he comes across, when the Hellhound is actually unleashed and looking for him. And right as he finds him, something really cute or comical, in my opinion, happens, because as this ginormous, like, just nasty beast comes running up, what Adam says is, "I don't want a big dog."
Well, there's a little more to it than that. So Adam's in the woods playing with his friends, And God's narrating this part and saying that Adam always comes up with the best games for them, etc. And so he's telling his friends, it's like, I really want a dog for my birthday, and they're like, oh, you're not just gonna get a dog just because you want him. And he's like, I will. He's like, I've always wanted a dog. And then, yeah, like you said, like the dog's basically watching him. And as the narration continues, it says the naming is important because it will define the Hellhound's role of things to come.
Right. So, the one on the left here, this is the Hellhound as we know him when he's unleashed. And then they ask him, well, if you had this dog, what would you name him? He's like, I think I'll just call him Dog.
Yeah, he's like that'll simplify things, a name like that.
And we get what's on the right. And I just thought, this shot right here, I laughed out loud. That little dog with the red demon eyes is perfect.
Although it only stays red demon eyes for like a couple seconds.
Yeah, no, he's a demon. While he transforms into this little dog, and then his eyes turn normal.
Yep.
But I absolutely loved that scene, and that's kind of where this episode closes out. We know that the boy is coming into his power because the Hellhound has found him, and Crawley and Aziraphale have no idea where he is. And that's where we're left off, and that's the opening episode of Good Omens. I really, really like this show so far. And like I said, I'm a little ahead of Brandon. I sort of let that slip.
Yeah, thanks for that, by the way.
But I'm looking forward to it. Theories? Do you have any theories on what might happen?
Well, probably, if I had to guess, there's going to be some kind of chaos that happens, because now that I guess his birthday has come, something's going to have to start happening. So Crowley was trying to convince Aziraphale to kill the kid. Maybe Aziraphale will actually try?
It's possible. I mean, I don't know, because he was really, when he brought it up, he was like, I've never killed anything. So I would say possible, but unlikely. I think they're just going to have to band together. It's probably going to be more like a buddy cop thing where they're banding together looking for him. I think that's...
And they're probably going to have to go talk to those nuns again.
Well, the order was destroyed.
Disbanded, yeah.
Yeah, the order was disbanded, and the place was set on fire.
Yeah, I mean, it was disbanded, but they weren't killed.
This is true. So maybe they tracked down the nuns.
Yeah, I want to say they could probably track some down and try to figure out what happened.
Yeah. So it's possible. We'll see what comes. But so that's our take. I really enjoyed this episode. I think all the acting is done. It's a little BBC cheesy.
Which did throw me off at first, but just because I wasn't really expecting that.
Right.
But once I kind of realized what that was within the first 5 minutes, essentially.
Yeah.
I was like, all right, I'm fine with this, and this is what it is.
Well, some people don't like the whole BBC cheesy comedy stuff.
Yeah, I know.
So if that's not your cup of tea, so to speak, this might not be the show for you. But I think it's great. I think it's wonderful. If you like anything like Doctor Who, if you like Monty Python, if you like any sort of British humor.
I'll have to stop you there, because I've seen some Doctor Who, David Tennant's Doctor Who even, and I'm not really that big a fan of Doctor Who, but this I really like.
Yeah, but you don't mind the BBC cheesiness either.
I guess I don't mind it in this. I guess there are other things where I have minded it.
That's a discussion for another time.
Yes, which is why I'm trying not to get too much into that.
All right, well, that's it for now. We will continue doing this, about once a week?
Yeah,
All
sounds good.
And hopefully, if you haven't checked it out, you'll check it out and you'll like it. Let us know what your thoughts on the show are, if you have any questions, if you have any theories. And also, don't forget to like and subscribe to our channels and let us know that you're watching. And if there's anything you're interested in seeing us do, let us know. On that note, Brendan, I am ready to go. Do you have any fun notes?
No. Hope you guys enjoy the show.
All right, and we'll see you next week. Bye-bye. Tell her she could turn on the AC now.
All right, you can turn it on. She had the remote in her hand.
Well, that went horrible.
What do you mean that went horrible?
Blue screens, echoes.
I thought you meant like our discussion. I'm like, that didn't go horrible.
No, the
that went
discussion
fine.
actually went fine.
Oh, there it is.
Except for when I fucking outed myself.
Yeah.
That was a fucking...
and I would have only picked up on it because I guess if I hadn't seen the following episode, I wouldn't know either, but I feel like I would have genuinely been like, what, did I miss that? Was that like a 30-second clip?
No, the discussion actually went fine.
And Zerafael, are we still streaming?
We are still streaming.
And I would have only picked up on
Bye.
Bye.